In a recent video, I spoke of a strange encounter which is said to have occurred in 1656, in which fishermen claimed to have encountered a strange half-man, half-fish entity. Interestingly, in his 1977 book Without a Trace, Charles Berlitz spoke of another strange aquatic encounter, one in which a diver claims he encountered an entity that he likened to an underwater, abominable snowman. It was 1968. Bruce Monnier, a commercial diver from Miami, was doing some work in Bimini, in the Bahamas, when he claims he had his odd sighting. We were south of Great Isaac Light, near the drop-off. I was at the bottom while I was being trolled on a line behind a 30-foot boat, built especially for diving and salvage work. I could see a sandy bottom at 35 to 40 feet. I was deep enough to see ahead of the boat, and some sort of round turtle, or big fish, around 200 pounds became visible, and I went lower to get a good look. It turned and looked at me at a 20-degree angle. According to Monnier, the creature he saw had a monkey's face, its head protruding out in front, and a much longer neck than a turtle. It was about 4 times the length of a human neck. The creature rotated its neck like a snake as it watched Monnier. Even stranger, the eyes were like those of a human being, but enlarged. It looked like the face of a monkey with specially adapted eyes for underwater vision. When it got a good look at me, it took off using some form of propulsion that came from underneath. Monnier watched as the creature disappeared into a cave beneath the overhang of the underwater drop-off. He never saw it re-emerge. Speaking to investigators, Monnier was certain that this creature was not a turtle. I've caught and sold hundreds of turtles, and this was definitely not one. Monnier referred to the creature as an underwater, abominable snowman, although the entity he described doesn't seem to fit the description of the abominable snowman that we know, a large, hairy, bipedal creature, although it does sound strange. A creature with human eyes, a long neck, and a monkey face, apparently able to sustain itself underwater. Berlitz himself surmised that Monnier's encounter could have ended much differently, as the Bahamas does have a legend concerning a monster called the Lusca, which is known to live in sea caves and feed off human divers. On February 10, 1977, a very strange event occurred at the Edwards Air Force Base in California, one involving military officials, strange aerial craft, missing time, and possibly the Men in Black. This account came to light courtesy of the Mutual UFO Network. The witness, a security officer stationed at Edwards Air Force Base, was training a newly assigned airman. He was showing him area familiarization, patrol zone, and procedures. At approximately 2 a.m., they drove up to the RPL, Rocket Propulsion Laboratory, in their security police vehicle. They were miles away from the main base in a fairly isolated area. I drove up a ridgeline so I could show him a complete view of the area. While observing the area, we spotted a black, large disc-shaped object appearing to be sitting on top of one of the laboratory buildings. My trainee asked me, "What is that?" I said, "I have no idea." The object started to slowly rise up a couple hundred feet from the building, then slowly started moving in a circular motion toward our position. I raised the microphone to our vehicle radio, tried to transmit, when I realized our radio was dead. We both attempted to use our portable walkie-talkie radios. Both were also dead. The witness found this strange, as all the radios had been checked before and after the guard mount. Next, he turned on the vehicle's light bar as a signal device. The lights on the light bar rotated for about 10 seconds, then they went dead. No matter what he did, he could not get them to come back on. The witness remembered that he had no emergency flares either. Then, when the disc was approximately 100 feet away, the vehicle's engine suddenly died. He could not get it to start. The man grabbed a Remington 870 shotgun from its mount and stepped out of the vehicle. He claims that he was holding the rifle in a death grip. The disc had moved towards him. He was able to get a good view of it. He described it as glassy black color, about the size of 2 C-5 aircrafts, wingtip to wingtip. It made no sound and he could see no lights. He scanned for any type of markings or insignia, but he could see none. The disc stopped right above our vehicle. We both just stared up at it. It seemed to stay there for just a few minutes. It started moving again. I could not see any type of propulsion system. Again, no sound, no lights. It rose up to approximately 2,000 feet. It stopped and started rotating from a horizontal position to a complete vertical position and stopped when completely vertical. Then the disc started spinning and rotating very rapidly and shot almost straight up into the air. It was gone from visible sight within seconds. All our systems started working. The engine was on, light bar was rotating, and our vehicle radio was working. The witness recalled that the desk sergeant was calling. He was frantic, insisting that they had missed their radio check and that patrols had been sent out to look for them. Upon looking at his watch, the witness was shocked to discover that it was now 4:30 a.m. Somehow over 2 hours had passed. Upon arriving back at the base, the two men were made to fill out 1569 incident complaint reports. They told the desk sergeant about their weird sighting, who in turn noted that something had been picked up on radar about the same time the witness would have observed the object shooting into the sky. 2 days later, the witness and the trainee were told to report to the base commander. As they were waiting outside his office, they were met by a, quote, full bird colonel, unquote, wearing no name tag. He was very tall, at least 6'4", with gray hair and sparkling deep blue eyes. The witness was instructed to follow him into an office, and he did. The witness was asked to sketch out on a chalkboard the object he saw. He was later asked to describe exactly the events of that night. The witness found it strange that he barely spoke and had no recording device. He asked no questions. At some point, witness got the very uneasy feeling that the reason he didn't ask any questions was because he already knew, as if he was inside his head. The witness offered to take a polygraph, but the man insisted that it was not necessary and that he believed him, and that he was not to discuss the matter ever. Ultimately, the witness found the entire interview to be strange and unsettling. He left the office. The trainee went in next. From there, things would continue to get even more bizarre. A week following the interview, the witness was told to report to the base commander again. This time, he observed two large men in suits standing outside his office. He noted that they were large enough they could easily be linebackers. Upon joining the base commander in his office, he was told to sign some papers. When the witness insisted that he would like to read them before signing them, he was informed by the base commander that it was not necessary, that he was just to sign them and to leave. I said, I will read them first. It was a non-disclosure agreement. It stated I actually had seen a helicopter on a training mission with all the lights out. I looked at the colonel. Sir, this was not a helicopter. It had no rotors, no blades, no sound. Sir, this is a lie. This is not what I saw. When I started to tell him, he told me immediately to shut up. He looked scared. He told me he did not want to know what I had seen. This is a national security issue. He said, please sign these papers for both of us. If you do not sign these papers, you will go with those people outside my office. You really don't want to go with those people. I asked if I could get a copy of these papers. He shook his head. I told him I am signing these papers under duress and protest. I signed them. Several weeks later, I got a remote assignment to go overseas. The witness, a decorated veteran, had no interest in UFOs before this incident. He is adamant that the event occurred and that he is telling the truth. I have no reason to make up a story like this, he said. It would be interesting to find out whether or not MUFON followed up on this report.